Hey everybody, my name is Matt, and today I'm going to be talking to Aiden Okama. We're going to be learning a little bit about his journey from Stevens to now working at Microsoft as an intern, and we're just going to have a little bit of a fun conversation, learning about his interests, why he got into CS, how he kind of thinks about the whole application process and job process, and we're also going to talk about his content creation journey as well. Aiden, why don't you introduce yourself and let's get going.
Sounds good. My name is Aiden Okama, and I'm a CS senior at Stevens. I just finished up my internship at Microsoft, and I was at DoorDash and Datadog the year before that. I also like to make computer science content in my free time. I do it about job process applications, which we're going to talk about a ton today. And yeah, it's pretty much everything about me.
Awesome. Something I saw on your Instagram a lot was you talk about this idea of if you don't like coding, then you shouldn't be a software engineer, right? In the state of the current job market right now, do you feel like that's more true than ever? Do you see a lot of people who actually don't enjoy software engineering seeing and saying, I can't get a job, when in reality they probably just don't like it enough or something like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think my take on that is definitely like a hyperbole. Like, there are definitely some cases where people don't like coding and they're able to have the discipline to learn the skills to get a job and stuff like that. But since you're talking about the current job market, I would say like in the state that it is right now, that statement is more true than it was before. I'd say like a common theme that I talk about with my content, or like something that I show with my content is passion takes you a long way.
Yeah.
You know, I think passion is one of the biggest drivers that I guess allowed me to have the opportunities that I have today. Like when I built projects and things like that, most of them were driven by passion. Like if I really liked making video games in my high school, and that's one of the projects on my resume. Like that was completely driven by passion, and the passion to code, the passion to create stuff on my computer, you know? So if you don't have that passion, it's just like, it's like it hinders you almost. When you want to have those base things in your resume, like projects and experiences like that, passion is a big driver in my opinion. And if you don't have that, that's just one less thing that you have compared to the hundreds of thousands of people that do have that passion, you know?
Yeah. Do you feel currently, and this is for me, we both go to the same school right now, that the current academic system isn't preparing students enough, or it's that the market just changes so fast that schools have trouble keeping up?
That's another good question.
I'm hitting you with hard ones today. Yeah. And it's fun, it doesn't matter, yeah.
I think in my opinion, like it's definitely a mix of both. Here at Stevens, I think this is a case where the school, nothing against Stevens of course, the school cannot really keep up with the job market because it is moving really fast, both in terms of just like application of skills in terms of like artificial intelligence. Like a lot of our classes right now are super classical, super, I don't know, like under the hood type of stuff. And as well as like career services, you know, when I went to the career services, I think last year, I showed them my resume. All they said was like format it and make sure the bullets have like a metric or two here and there. It just wasn't very, helpful feedback in my opinion.
If you're an aspiring software engineer that's struggling to land roles, learn from our mistakes and get your resume fixed as soon as possible. It's the fastest and easiest way to see results when you're applying to those hundreds or even thousands of job applications, and trust me, it is worth every single penny. If you're interested in this sort of service, please check out my Instagram, Matt Feroz _, where you can send me a DM and we can book a time to get your resume looking in tip-top shape. Thank you so much, and let's get back to the video.
But there are cases where it's like the person did everything right. They went to the good school that gives them all the resources. They did the jobs, they did the projects, and they still can't land a job, right? Like I've heard of people with 3x FAANG, 4x FAANG, they have nothing new grad, right? So it's definitely, yeah, I know,
I have not
crazy.
Heard that. That's still crazy. Yeah. You got to tell me the names of those people. I got to interview them, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly Amazon, but...
oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But
I don't even know if Amazon is FAANG anymore. Can we say that? We can't say that.
I don't think so, in my opinion. But there are definitely those cases like that, where it's like they did everything right, they're at the right school, the school has provided the resources, and they just like, it's just the market.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that providing the resources type thing. And so, the way we actually met was actually a couple of months ago. You posted like you were doing resume reviews or something on TikTok live stream or Instagram live stream, and I joined your Discord and I was like, who the hell is this kid giving people like resume advice? I was like, so like, what's your, I think I asked like, oh, what's your guarantee, or like, what do you like, have you done resume reviews for like people trying to get into FAANG and stuff like that? And you're like, oh no, I just do it for internships. And I was like, okay, I'm just getting out of here. Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
But like, I think that for me, the fact that you are creating and building a community means that you like very much understand game theory in the way that you have it so that everybody around you is winning. And that you create kind of a community where people benefit each other and help each other, right? So that's like a big difference I feel like I see in schools that are like at Stevens and schools like Stevens versus like Ivy League schools and stuff like that. I hear there's a lot of like cutthroat competitiveness, and it's like crazy cutthroat competitiveness where like you'll lie about like the online assessment questions, or like you will give like literally like misinformation about like a certain role or something like that to keep people out of like the role that you're trying to apply to. My question is, it's like, what took you down the path of the good path of like helping others and creating a community? Was it you being burned? Was it like you understanding that you need to help people, or is it like some other thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the way I got down that path, I think the base of it was content creation, because you want to be relatable when you make content, right? And I think that was my hook when I started my freshman year, was I'm struggling with this job market. Here's content that I'm pushing out, showing that I'm struggling with the job market, right? And then as I made that content, I saw all the comments of people like in the same position as me, also struggling, like, hey, I'm in the same position. So once I saw comments like that, I just saw like it was the perfect opportunity to make a community of all these people that are in the same situation, and we could scratch each other's backs, right? But yeah, from there, I think the natural path from just like the base of content was to generate the community. And you know, you can't really build a community off of the cutthroatness, right? It's a very lonely thing. Like they say, like at Ivy Leagues and stuff, it's very lonely at the top, whatever. And I think that's really true here, because I was in a community full of people who did not have jobs, did not have internships, had nothing, right? And we all, I said before, scratched each other's back, you know, helped each other, resume reviewed each other, built projects with each other. With content, in my opinion, the whole idea is to generate the community. You know, it's not about the number of followers you have, number of likes. It's about how much control do you have over this audience, and how much can you provide to them? And that's all I wanted to do, was provide to this audience.
Yep.
Right?
You want to provide value through your influence, basically.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
So like on that note, right, your content is not professional in the slightest. And I actually really want to hear your opinion about like how you're able to essentially balance your personality and like general charisma with also like being somebody that like, or you're somebody that companies seek, you know what I mean? So like, I don't know if it's okay, like people can pull up your LinkedIn right now and they'll see like listed in your roles, you have like, oh, I worked at this, but I was doing like you did some research for like a nuclear professor, and then you're like, I was building bombs, you know what I mean? Or like, you were like working at Datadog and you were like being a dog or something like that. You know, it's funny stuff, right? But I think in that sense, like, yeah, how do you balance that essentially, both being yourself and being professional at the same time? Is it just, this is just myself, I'm gonna put myself out there, or is there like a strategic kind of way that you're showing yourself on these platforms?
Right. I get this question asked a bunch, like, do recruiters, you know, blacklist me
because
of the stuff like that?
Yeah, no way.
Short answer to that is no, but how I handled, I guess, like the balance between professionalism and like showing my personality is, in the beginning, I was more professional on professional platforms like LinkedIn and stuff.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you can't really leverage the personality if you don't have the things to leverage with, like, which is experience. So I mostly kept those two worlds like separate, like LinkedIn and professionalism, and my entertainment and stuff with like Instagram and TikTok, right? I made sure they're very separate. But then as I grew and like these two worlds started to collide, and I made content on internships, and there's no way I could keep them separate, you know? At that point I had leverage, which was the internships at DoorDash and Datadog. So my mindset at that time was, I don't want to be at a company that doesn't let me be my true self. And honestly, I wish I had that perspective when I started. But now I can do things like the nuclear bomb scientist or like the DoorDasher things, because I know what I want, and I want a company, if they look at this and they're like, I don't want someone like that, I don't want to work at a place like that, you know?
I see, yeah.
So I put myself at a position where I could be picky with the companies, and therefore I could show more of my personality on professional places like LinkedIn and stuff.
Okay, so then that kind of brings me to my next question, right? Where do you find your sense of identity then, right? You talked about having the authority now that you worked at these places, you know what I mean? Is your identity defined by the places you work at? I feel like this is something that a lot of software engineers struggle with. A lot of high achieving people will say, I don't have that credential on my resume resume, I'm not people will literally say I'm not a good person, or like I'm not like a valid person, or like because I didn't work in FAANG, because I didn't do this. I've had like my friends say that to me, you know what I mean? It's just like ridiculous. Like, dude, you're the coolest guy ever. Working at some company doesn't make you a better person or something like that. Like, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, of course, like I'm completely against completely associating yourself with a company or like associating your value with a company. But are you asking me like my personal?
Yeah, what's your opinion on that? How do you feel about that essentially?
Yeah, I mean, I personally disagree with having your value being attached to a company. I definitely have been around people where that is the case. If they don't get a FAANG interview, or if they don't get a FAANG process, like they're down that entire week, or like they're super upset with themselves. I think, of course, there's pros and cons to everything. I think there's definitely a positive to pushing yourself and like having set goals for yourself and doing things so that you can, achieve those goals. And one of those things could be like, I want to get into Google, but once it gets into like the too much side where it's just, if I don't get Google, I'm just not a successful person, I guess. That's where it's too much at that point, I think. And I think when I was applying and in the whole, I guess, like trenches of applying to internships, I made sure that I set goals for myself. Like I want to get XYZ company, or like I want to get this many processes. But I made sure that like I did not cross that line, although I was surrounded by a lot of people who did cross that line, to not associate my self-worth with just the tech companies, I think a good way that I was able to balance it was I guess valued my self-worth into a lot of different things, whether that was like content or school, and it wasn't just, just tech and internships and jobs,
Yeah, for me, I only started this journey of like kind of like the big tech pipeline, that sort of stuff, about like a year or two ago. And before that, like I was super, like the way that I got comfortable in my skin was essentially just like by doing other hard things. Like I did jujitsu for 4 years, and like, like getting choked out by people, getting beat up by people, like it's a very humbling experience, and like it teaches you a lot of confidence. So like my question is like, outside of CS, right? Since you actually enjoy it so much, what do you enjoy doing that's like the thing that takes the pressure off of finding your value within a company or something like that?
Yeah, I think obviously the obvious thing is content. Like if I need a creative output, or like I just want to have fun with other CS people without doing CS things, it's probably like content is 100% my fallback. But in like my freshman year, like high school, senior year, I did other things like ultimate frisbee is a big sport that I've been playing. I just got back from like a captain's practice.
Awesome.
Or a captain's meeting. And sports I think is a really good outlet. Like you talked about jujitsu. I did wrestling in high school.
Oh, nice.
So I also learned a lot of confidence because
we got to roll, bro.
I was a scrawny, 106 weight class. So like
106 is crazy.
Yeah, that's like the lowest you could go in high school, I'm pretty sure. So if I know a lot about being thrown around and choked out, I promise you. But I think definitely having like other outlets besides CS is super important. No matter how passionate you are about CS, right? Because I'm super passionate about CS, but I make sure there's other outlets where if CS is like, beating me up, or I'm getting thrown around in the internship market, there's other things I can fall back onto.
I see. Now, like going down more of that technical route, right? You talked a lot about like the frameworks and the way that you like keep yourself healthy and you keep yourself like kind of like basically like locked into getting, you like set goals, you do your stuff. Okay, my question is now, it's like, in terms of like tactical thinking and like actually getting and landing those roles, I know exactly what you did, right? You probably just studied lead code, and you probably, got a lot of referrals, and you probably, I don't know, just like took classes that actually taught you like something, you paid attention, right? And like, I feel like every single time I have a conversation with somebody, it essentially just boils down to practice, right? Is there any secret, or is it just practice?
It's hard to answer that question, especially when it's a bunch of students that have done the same thing as me, and like they do not have the same outcome as me. I think there's definitely an aspect of luck in terms of job outcomes, internships, stuff like that, because the recruiter has to look at your resume, and there's a lot of people who that's not the case, even though they have X, Y, and Z checked marked, the same boxes that I do. So there's definitely a luck aspect, but I also think that there's a consistency part of it. A lot of people that I talk to when it comes to the leak code, the applying, the optimizing your resume stuff, like they usually do in like a week spurt, and then I talk to them again like 2 weeks after, and I like ask them, oh, how's the, improving your resume, how's leak code going? And they're like, ooh, I haven't touched it in like 3 days, So I think there's also a consistency part that I definitely held myself to during my sophomore, freshman year, where like, if you saw my TikTok, I would do like a leak code stream every single day. And that's where I got most of my growth for my content. But I think that consistency where you're doing the same thing every single day and improving yourself every single day is very important when it comes to, the outcome of your job as well.
Yeah. And like, you talked about luck, right? And a lot of people talk about luck when it comes to succeeding in like startups, succeeding in software, succeeding basically anywhere in life. How much would you attribute your success to like luck, and how much would you attribute your success to your actual effort?
Yeah, I don't have like percentages, but I think a good chunk of it was probably like, let's say like 30%. I think about 30% was luck, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
because there's a lot of, even outside of tech, things that I was blessed with, thankfully. Like in terms of school, like my tuition I'm like full ride here because my mom works here. So when I was in my freshman, sophomore year, I didn't have to worry about rents. I didn't have to worry about dues. I could completely and put 100% of my efforts into getting an internship or getting a job, right? And there's not a lot of people who are put in that position. They have to worry about rent, jobs, or like on-campus jobs and school and paying for school, stuff like that. Like that is a big luck thing that I know I am privileged with, and I have talked about it during live streams, and that's probably a big aspect or a big reason as to why I'm in the position that I'm in right now. Definitely a lot of privilege. And of course, like the luck of when I applied my sophomore year, I just happened to have 2 really big tech companies look at my resume and push me through the process. Like I think especially for Datadog, which was one of the companies, the resume pass rate, I think that year was abysmal. Like I had a percent in my head. What was it? I think they showed a PowerPoint. It was 0.5%, 0.4%, around that range.
It's crazy.
Like that's even crazier luck on top of the privilege that I had. But I say this a lot when people ask me about the divide between luck and work. I think I worked hard to get lucky, because I also did the leak code. I did all the check boxes that you're supposed to do for an internship. I think at the end of the day, the consistency with the leak code and the practicing set me up so I could get lucky.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's completely fair. I think it's like, it shows that the fact that you can admit that there was some luck to it, you know what I mean? Like, it's like just being honest, you know what I mean? Like most things in life probably require some amount of luck to become 100%. Successful in, right? But I want to ask you a question now about kind of like, so you said you did CS, and then you said you did content, and like you're involved with your sports and stuff like that. I know you're just still a senior in college, right? But like, do you see yourself working full time as like a software engineer and like being a part of that pipeline for the rest of your life? Or are you just like, yeah, I like just really enjoy this stuff. I want to maybe get some experience here, maybe start my own business, something like that. Like, where do you see yourself?
Yeah, I think I see myself in more the latter that you were talking about. I definitely like enjoy software engineering. I love the internships that I did, and I see myself doing it for the next 3-4 years, 100%. But I think my plan after those 3-4 years where I gained corporate experience, seeing how these companies work on the inside, I definitely want to start something of my own. I'm not sure if that has to do with the content that I'm doing right now or if it's going to be something completely different. But I definitely want to do something on my own where I'm building something, and like that would be the, not like pinnacle of my life, but a really long-term goal that I'm going to have is just building something for myself. And I'm not sure what that is, but I definitely want to go down that path in the future.
I see. Well, YC applications are open, man. Start applying.
Yeah, I don't know. With YC, I definitely agree with, taking more risk when you're young. Yeah. And I 100% want to do that. It's just, I don't think I'm in a position where I can take that much risk as of right now. Because, I got the family and my girlfriend that I want to set up a stable life for within the next 3-4 years. So once I get that stability down, then I could take that jump with the resources that I've gathered, whether it's with content or software engineering. Definitely want to make sure I have a base foundation, and then I could jump off the diving board, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. I think like, yeah, like, you know, you came from a very privileged spot, and like you're speaking literally just like straight up like facts. Like you understand leverage, it seems like, very well in terms of like how you can like use your skills and abilities and knowledge to like set up things like in the future. Why do you feel like that isn't something that's being taught? Or like when I usually have a conversation with somebody about this stuff, they'll just like go up straight over their head. You know what I mean? Like, why do you feel like you have access to that information or understand this sort of stuff when like most people, I would say on average, don't?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think most of my knowledge with that stuff has definitely come from my parents. They set up a business when they were in their 20s, 30s, but they knew to build that foundation before they jumped into, you know, building their own company. I think it's just, you know, it's the privilege thing again. Since I came from privileged people, I get this privileged knowledge. And I'm just applying what I know that my parents taught me. And not everybody has access to privileged parents like that. Not every parent has access to privileged information like that. So yeah, I know I said privilege like 10 times, but I think at the end of the day, like, I am in a privileged position where I have this knowledge and I am just going to execute with the knowledge that I know, you know, which is that 3 to 4 year plan that I had, and then jump off the diving board.
So like in terms of how, like, so you definitely have people around you, or I guess this is more of a question about like your circle of friends, the people you surround yourself with, right? So you have this like online community that you've essentially built, and you have like the people you surround yourself with in person, right? You sound like you have like you know, you have your frisbee team, you have your friends, and then you have your girlfriend and all this stuff. My question is, it's like a lot of people struggle with community, and like, oh, like I can't figure out like how to meet people who are like want to do the same things I want to do, or understand the same basically language that you're speaking. What do you say to those people? Because I feel like all of the community and everything is like already out there, and they're just like afraid to put themselves out there. But like, what do you think?
Right. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think there are a bunch of communities out there for any like niche interest that you have. It's just joining them and like talking to those people. I think that if you are passionate enough about that niche thing, you will throw yourself into that niche thing. So I don't know, maybe you're not passionate enough, but obviously that's not the case. But I think if you are like listening to this and you are in this same position where you're not sure if you want to interact with these people, I think I would just say do it. Like that's how I was able to get into this position. When I was in my freshman year, I found this like community called Computer Science Career Development, or CSCD. That's literally, I was super nervous before joining as well. Like it was a bunch of random people who have Google FAANG internships that are just talking in this community, and I didn't have anything. I was a freshman at Stevens. Nobody even knows what Stevens is, right? But it really is just taking that jump. Like I just joined, I talked to people, I was like, I even talked about my TikTok, which had like, I think like 1,000 followers at the time. Nobody like has ever like seen, or nobody has seen my TikTok or anything at that point. So that was also kind of embarrassing, but you know, you just grow from those experiences, and it's what you said, it's people that you surround yourself with. If you want to surround yourself, or if you have an interest and you're passionate about it and you want to grow from it, then you gotta do these jumps where you're jumping into these communities who have the same passion. These are the easiest communities to join, right? Because the common denominator is that passion, and that passion is the reason why you join. So you just, it's like, what's the word? It's like a positive feedback loop where you're joining this like...
Positive feedback loop makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, it's a positive feedback loop where you're going back and forth with you in this community, where you're telling them about your interests, about this certain passion, and they're telling you, and then that's how you guys grow together from it, right?
This is like kind of like late to ask this, but I just met you like a couple hours ago, and like I'm still a little bit curious about your background, right? You talk about your parents like own businesses, you like are from New Jersey, right? And like, you know, I'm just like more and more curious, because like the things that you're saying, like I can't tell if it's just straight from the Discord community that you're in, or like the internet that you've gotten access to, or if it's like if you like read books, or like you have like some sort of mentor or something like that. Like where in your pipeline basically did you like wake up or become aware, basically, is what I'm saying.
When I become like conscious?
Yeah, because like, you know, it's a true thing. Like you can tell some people like don't understand that, like, oh, like you kind of like, if you want to accomplish like great things, you have to like act a certain way, or like operate a certain like, you know, way, I guess. Like when did you start realizing that?
That's a good question.
And it doesn't have to be like, one exact moment. It could be like a cascade of things. But I feel like everybody has like, oh yeah, like, when this event happened in my life, I was like, okay, I gotta like lock in. I gotta be serious,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I could definitely name a period right now where I was 100% not locked in, and I would say that was the COVID era, like junior, senior year. I was like streaming Minecraft in my basement every day. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. But I think when I like locked in or like woke up was definitely my freshman year, like spring. And surprisingly, this was more with content than like computer science. Because I think at that point I already knew I wanted to code. I made like video games in high school or like a website in high school, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I just knew I liked it, right? So freshman year spring, I made this TikTok. It was a stupid TikTok about CS, and I was in my English class. And after the class, my English teacher gave us homework, and she literally just said to like touch grass, like go outside, go to the river, and like take in nature, because I think it was some nature class.
Okay, nice, yeah.
It was a nature class for specifically CS majors, so I thought that was funny.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know that. That's so funny.
Yeah, so it was just like a required humanity. So I made a TikTok about it, like, oh, my teacher just told us to touch grass, right? Something like that. And that went viral, right? And that's when I realized that I can do actions that have large scale impact, right? Because that video reached like hundreds of thousands of people at once, and I think that was the issue. None of my actions that I did in high school or middle school or anything like that, obviously high school, had very little impact, because Twitch streaming doesn't have a lot of impact when it's still like 5 people, right?
No, I've been there.
So I think that's when I woke up, when I realized that I could do things that this many people can see, then I could do things that that impacts this many people, right? And that's when I realized, I think that's it. I just had like a connection with CS where like, wow, computer science, you could build things that impact this many people, right? So then that's when I realized that if I wanted to consistently impact this many people over and over and over again and build something that impacts people for years, decades, centuries, whatever, then I would need to do something like this, but at a larger scale, right? So I started grinding out my content. I started grinding out projects that I felt would impact the same amount of people. And I just kept doing that over and over again, I guess. But that was like the wake up moment when that stupid TikTok went viral, and I was like, wow, like one person can impact this many people. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, I think that like, I'm glad you shared that, because it's kind of funny how it was like almost nature that like was the thing that allowed you to like wake up in a certain way, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So it's just like hilarious. So then like, I mean, dude, you're still in college, right? Like I'm not gonna like, usually like in these like interviews where I watch, they're interviewing some like PhD level OpenAI researcher guy, and it's like, what are your predictions for the future? You know what I mean? Like I think it's honestly better to get like a pulse on like you're in it. You know what I mean? You're tapped into content. You're tapped into like sentiment of like people. You're tapped into Stevens being in a college, right? Like, do you think there's hope for the future? Or like
Jesus. Yeah, there you go.
No. I'm talking about like hope for the future, as in like being an average CS student is going to lead to like a good life, a good career. You know what I mean?
Right.
Making 6 figures, being middle class, like being like a oh, I hope that wasn't a bird. Just like an average engineer. Like is there space for average engineers still?
That's a good question. I mean, yeah, as you said, of course, I'm a senior in college, but I'll give my 2 cents to that question. I think there definitely is still value in like, I'll talk specifically about CS since that's like the niche that I follow around. But I think in specifically computer science, like having that knowledge and going to college for it is definitely still an important skill or an important thing to have around your belt, right? Because if we're talking about AI's taking over jobs and like stealing the CS job market, right? The state that we're in right now is that when AI generates code, there still needs to be an overseer looking over it, right? Maybe at some point there doesn't need to be, but at the point right now, and I think for a little bit at least, this will be the state that it's in. And if you're just, there's definitely, we see examples of people that do not have the CS knowledge and the CS foundation building things, and how things can go wrong there in terms of vulnerabilities and unstructured code or whatever. So I think it's definitely still a decent skill to have around your belt, I think.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm thinking about my answer because there's so much variability in the state that we're in right now. But if I were to talk about it in the state that we're in right now, maybe in the next 2 years, like I feel like it's still a really good skill to have to go to college for. And we're not completely cooked, right?
Yeah. Like, I think there's a lot of doom and gloom in terms of like, there's not enough space for everybody at these big tech companies, essentially, right? And it's like before there was, in the sense that like they were like hiring like crazy, 2021, 2022. But yeah, I mean, like it's just harder now, and that's just like the reality. And it's like hard to accept that sometimes you're not good enough. You know what I mean? Like you talked about luck before. Like when do you know that you're like not good enough? I guess it's just like objectively you're not passing like online assessments and like you're not succeeding, right? Like that's how you know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I wouldn't say you're not good enough. I would say some things are just not a good fit for some people, and there's something else that you're a better fit for, right? I would say that threshold, it's more of like not an effort thing. I think it's a time thing. Like if you only have so much time on this earth, I guess, right? So if you're at this point where it's like, I don't know, maybe I'm not saying it's too late.
You need water, man.
Yeah, I know. I should have got a bottle. But I'm not saying like if you're 40 years old, like you're cooked if you don't know how to like reverse a linked list or anything like that.
I was going to ask you. We're going to have to do that live.
But like you only have so much time to allocate to specific things, and if you put in this much time into it and you're not seeing the output that a person should be getting for this amount of time being put into this thing, then maybe it's just not a good fit and you pivot to something else. Like CS is super pivotable. There's so many things you can pivot to, whether it's data science, ML engineering, or anything like in the circle of CS. You don't have to be a SWE at Google, right? I think it just comes down to like how much time can you like allocate to this thing, and you probably should have that, in your head somewhere if you're learning this thing, and if you don't reach that threshold, then time to pivot to something else.
Yeah, and like that's another thing I kind of have a question too about. Like, let's say that you are at a company right now, or you're like a mid-level engineer somewhere, right? And you see all these people like getting these crazy paychecks, you're doing all this stuff, and like you say to yourself, if I just had more time, right, I'd be able to succeed. I'd be able to do this. If I just had more time, right? Do you think that's true, or do you think that you can operate at like and get like skills and like leak code and like do the resume, everything like that, with still working like a 40-hour work week and like having all the responsibilities on your back?
That's a hard question. I mean, of course, like I haven't worked the 40-hour work weeks yet, but I could talk from like my experience of like, I guess my internships, I did 40-hour work weeks. I mean, of course, there's always like some sort of bandwidth that someone has, and you can only, allocate 100% of that bandwidth before you start burning out and things like that. But I mean, I think the idea is like you can always try doing that thing, and if it turns out you don't have enough bandwidth, you don't have enough bandwidth. It is what it is. But when people say that, like I don't have enough time for this thing, usually they haven't tried, right? They haven't tried doing that thing. I think like you can always try doing that, and it's up to you to determine if you actually don't have enough time after that. But you can't really say that unless you've tried that thing. And then after that, you won't be asking that question after whether you could do it or not.
You'll have actually some feedback in terms of like how you succeeded, how you did, right? Okay, so I guess like maybe last couple of questions.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of like if you think about like computer science, right? Like I guess this is kind of like more like artistic, like how do you like interpret computer science? Like, what do you think of it as? Do you think it is like a very binary thing where it's like it's just code, or do you find like some like beauty in it, and do you feel like it's like an art style almost? Like you play video games, you know what I mean? Like, like I'm just like curious because I feel like a lot of people have different perspectives on that.
Yeah, I would say how I built my perspective on computer science was like back in the day. I guess we could go back to high school. How I interpreted computer science when I first like handled it when I was I first came in contact to it with Scratch in like middle school when I was building like video games.
Yeah, man.
Funny story. I sort of sidetracked, but in 5th grade, I had a crush on this girl, and we're both in the computer science, I guess, like class.
Oh God, you made a game for her, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. I made a game, and it was like a Minecraft game, and it went like viral to like 5th grade me. It was like 3,000 views or something.
Yeah.
But that was like my first, I guess, like passion project, quote unquote, like my first experience, like true experience with computer science.
Yeah.
But I think
I feel like everybody had that moment. I know a friend who did a computer science or a Legend of Zelda promposal.
Oh wait,
yeah.
I'm gonna say it's cute. I'm sure the average person would think that, but I think that's really cute.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
A lot of people like I feel like. Yeah, like when did you graduate high school? 2021, 2022?
2022. Yep.
2022. Yeah. So I was 2020. So like we're still in like the same Gen Z era in terms of like how we had thought about things and did things.
Right.
But where was I? Yeah, you were talking about like the way you think about computer science.
Right.
It's like art form, right? Okay.
Yeah. So like building off of that, like I think that's where I realized like you can make anything with computer science. You could ask out a girl. You could make a B2B SaaS in SF. I didn't realize that yet, but I realize that now. But
you should have realized that at 10 years old, yeah.
But I think as I started building all these things like video games and websites, like the freedom of computer science, I think that's what I found was beautiful. Like if I needed to, I don't know, I was going to say automate like a workflow, but like I'm not thinking that in high school. If I wanted to like, what's a good one? If I wanted to make like a Roblox game for my cousins to play, right? I could do it's at my fingertips. Yeah. Like everything was at your fingertips with on the computer and with code. And I love that. Like there's so many things that I could explore. There was always a thing that I could explore and learn. And I think that's what I loved about it. Like it kept my brain thinking, it kept my problem solving skills going, and like there's so much freedom with it. And that's what I loved about it.
Okay. Yeah. So you're from New Jersey. But you're planning on staying like in New York, like this area?
Like tri-state.
Yeah. Okay. You don't want to move to SF where the big dogs play? No?
I had my little like sample of SF when I was at Microsoft. I went down to SF for a week. Don't get me wrong, like there are a bunch of cool people there. I loved it. I loved meeting everybody there. It was just, I don't know, is there too much like, I hate saying that there's too much tech because I love tech so much, but it was too much tech for me.
It was like a lifestyle there?
Like it was a lifestyle there. Wow. Like everyone had a startup shirt. There's some sort of startup logo on their shirt when I was walking around. There's some guy who came up to us when me and my friend were walking. He had a Cluely shirt. He was a Cluely intern. Yeah. And he was like, "Are you YC?" I had a TikTok on it. Oh God, it was just like, it was too much for me. And I think that's when I realized there's a threshold in my heart for computer science and tech. And SF showed me that. So I don't think I'll be going back, unfortunately.
I really respect that, man. Yeah, because I mean, I see a lot of people like playing up how awesome it is, or like, it's like, you gotta be here, that sort of thing. Like I was gonna visit a year ago. I didn't get a chance to. My cousin's wedding was at the same time as the trip.
Gotcha.
So yeah, my goddamn cousin now, dude. But yeah, essentially like, you know, I really appreciate that, the fact that you were able to admit that you had like a threshold, you know what I mean? Like, tech isn't life, you know what I mean? Like your parents own a business and like they're probably pretty successful, and like my dad's a plumber, you know what I mean? It's like, and I'm here talking to you. So it's like, it isn't exactly everything. What do you say to people like, well, I guess I was going to say like, a lot of people are talking about trades, or like not even like staying in this like tech bubble or something like that. Do you find tech to be a bubble in the sense that like do you think you're actually providing value, or most companies are actually providing value in terms of tech, right? Like I was thinking about this, like what's more beautiful, the pyramids of Giza or ChatGPT? You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Like is it really that crazy that like, I'd ask you like, do you find like computer science beautiful? Like what's your opinion on that? I don't know.
Yeah, like with the pyramid, you're gonna hate me. Like I low-key think like ChatGPT is the cooler thing than the pyramids of Giza.
Really?
But I think there's definitely areas in tech where it's like the thing that's being created is super overrated or super pumped up. Like you could see it 100 times in SF or like 10 times in New York. But I personally think, since I'm super biased, but I personally think with my involvement with CS and seeing it grow like in my face right in front of me, right? I think that's really beautiful. And I think it does provide value. Like there are like entire like paradigms of like what can I say here? Maybe it's not as interesting as I thought. I think seeing it grow, what was I saying? Like seeing it grow in front of me and seeing the areas that tech has like impacted, whether that's like, I don't know, sales or just like even in, I think medical tech is like a very big thing that I've been seeing because my girlfriend's pre-med. She talks about the improvements in technology all the time, like especially there, like technology saves lives sometimes. I think there's definitely impacts. I agree, like there's definitely areas where it's overhyped and it's like not definitely like having an AI that, I don't know, automates, what's a stupid one? Having an AI that automates like feeding your pet every day is like not as impactful or not, it's not valued at $10 million, right? Yeah. But I think there's definitely areas where it's not overrated or underrated. Like it does provide value there.
All right, then I guess kind of on that line of value, right? Like you were talking about the Cluey and like interview coder guys and stuff like that. And I kind of just want to like, I guess this is like maybe an old recycled topic about interview coder and like, I don't even want to say his name. And like, you know, I feel like the fact that I'm even talking about it, we're even talking about it right now, shows that he won in terms of like the marketing aspect, right?
Yep.
So my question is, it's like, do you subscribe to the thought that basically like breaking things, like doing objectively like not wrong things, cheating is wrong in my opinion, right? But at the end of the day, if it's like if somebody's going to cheat to get a $250,000 job or whatever, then like they can do whatever the heck. Or actually, you know what? I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. That is wrong. You should never cheat. But like, you know what I mean? Like, what's your opinion on that? Like value, right? But it's also value in the sense that it's making like cheating easier or something like that. Like, and also like the marketing aspect of it too. Like there's like an evil side to technology in that sense. Like what do you say to that then?
Yeah, so to address like the Cluey thing, of course there's always pros and cons to everything, as I said before. I think the con is very, very glaring. Like cheating is bad, and we learned that since like elementary school for sure. But you could also like see it from the perspective of someone who is like not provided as many resources as like me or other people, right? They are now at the same playing field that people who are super privileged and have had the resources given to them over and over again, right? So they have the same chance as everybody else, you could say. So it just depends like what type of value, I guess, or like where you see value. Like someone who
Well, you talk about Roblox, right? You talk about Roblox. Like Roblox is a platform for connecting your family and playing with your cousins and sending them video games. But it's also like one of the biggest gambling and like, you know, addicting like whatever platforms like ever. Like
exactly.
I guess like where do you strike a balance? Like what's your perspective on that? As somebody who's like super deep, like you're now one of, like in the part that is going to be like you work at Microsoft, like Microsoft Games especially. Like you're going to be in that bubble. You know what I mean? So like, what do you think about it? You know?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And it's okay if you don't have an opinion on it. You know what I mean? That's like completely fair as well.
I just haven't put as much. I should put more thought into that, but I just haven't because I don't know. I guess I am siphoning the goods from it instead of like thinking about the bad parts.
Yeah. I mean that's completely fair.
Yeah. I don't know. It's. Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on it. I don't want to like say like.
No, you don't have to. Yeah, I think it's completely fine. Like you're still young too. Like you know, I'm giving you questions that I feel like most people your age probably wouldn't be able to answer in terms of like what they're like. But I can see that you're very passionate about what you do. You have like a very deep understanding of like how leverage works, how the world works, and I personally think you're going to be fine and you're going to do great things, man. So I just want to say thank you so much. I really appreciate you. You know, content creators here on campus talking and learning about things. So. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you learned a lot, and yeah, if you have anything you want to shout out or talk about for the podcast ends,
Sure, yeah. If you guys want to check out more of the content that we discuss or content that I make, you can check me out on Uka on TikTok, UkaCS on Instagram, and Uka pretty much everywhere else. But yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I'll see you guys later.
Awesome.